Behind the Front Desk is sponsored by our good friends at Phaser Marketing. To put it simply, they are a digital marketing team for excavation companies. They work hand in hand with these companies to take over their web design, graphic design, social media management, and so much more. They strive to improve the image of the dirt world and all the great hard-working people within it. If you know somebody that wants to take construction business online, have them check out our website at phasermarketing.com. That's PHASER marketing.com and take your business to the next level.
Okay. Welcome back to Behind the Front Desk with the boys. Ding, Z-Man, Brino. Big news, I think, is what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about the GOAT, Tom Brady. He's retired. And it's very, very sad day.
Yeah, I kind of hoped he would have came back just out of spite, but what can you do?
Well, I woke up this morning because, I mean, obviously we thought he retired like 2 days ago, but then there was rumors that, oh my God, he might not be retired. So I got my hopes up again and got expectations for what was about to happen. And then I woke up this morning. So the first thing I see is that he officially announces that he retired, and quickly clicked on a video, saw that they were reading off like his Instagram post, and went straight to his Instagram and read it. And
I saw it on Twitter.
It was a bummer.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter at like 9 o'clock. I like pulled out Twitter, hit it, and the first thing was like a photo of him, and it's like the love symbol, which I thought was weird. And then I like looked down, it was like 430,000 likes. I was like, well, I know what that is. Like, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it still feels really weird. I'm not sure how I even feel about it, like truthfully, yet, because
the unfortunate thing is, the reason why I wanted him to come back is A, it's always awesome watching Tom Brady, but B, it's like he seemed like he could still play like at a really high level. So it's like it sucks because you would rather see like really great players go out while still being great. But you'd almost rather see like for me, it's like I'd rather see a great player give it like where at the end it's like, ooh, it's like maybe he stayed a little too long, but he stayed, that to me, like with Peyton Manning, it's he stayed way too long, and obviously at the end he was not great. I don't think he should have gone that route, but I think he would have had at least a year or two to play. But
I mean, I love the idea of Tom going out while he's still like the best, but I literally always thought the way Tom Brady was going to be like carted off the field, basically. I thought they were going to have to carry him off the field because, like a really bad injury. And obviously like once you get higher up in age, it's going to be tougher to come back. I just assumed that's how it was going to go, but
yeah,
I guess he goes out in perfect health, might still win the MVP.
I think Joe Burrow sewed that up this weekend, but that's just me.
It's for the regular season, though.
No, but I mean, his regular season numbers were right along.
He'll get comeback player of the year, but he ain't gonna get MVP.
I mean, his numbers were right up there with Rodgers and Brady,
but they weren't as good. And
I mean, it was like literally like Brady's won in a number of categories, but Burrow's number one in a lot of categories. Rodgers only led the one category. It was quarterback rating, but it was Burrow and Brady who led every other rating or every other category. So it's not like he didn't have a great year.
Well, I'm not saying he didn't have a great year. I don't see any possible way Burrow wins MVP.
No, I think so. I mean, you look at a team that won 4 games last year, and
which is why he'll get comeback for sure.
Oh no, but definitely shouldn't have won their division when your division has the Cleveland Browns and the Ravens, who are both top to bottom better rosters than your team. You know, you look at that, and then he beat Patrick Mahomes. You know, you look at the games he's had. You know, he had the best 2-game stretch all year. You start doing
but again, though, that's regular season. Mahomes was playoffs.
No, he beat Mahomes in the regular season.
Did they play each other this year?
Oh yeah, he threw for 460 yards on him, and then the week before he threw for like 530 on who was it? He threw I think the Ravens. He went ham on the Ravens. I mean, you just look at things like that. Like it's not. I don't think I don't think he'll win, but I mean, I would hope that he would win, just considering how good of a season he had and on the team he's on. Because I think if you put him on the Packers are still winning 12 games. I think if you put Rodgers on the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that I don't think he deserves it or that statistically he's up there. I'm just saying I mean, you know how the NFL is.
Yeah.
Rodgers and Brady are number 1, number 2. It's one of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Not saying I agree with it or that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that like that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
it is.
Again, oh, go ahead.
I think that's all he was saying.
I was just saying it's what it is.
Oh, I thought you were saying something else. I was just gonna say, I mean, you look at the other players who possibly could have won it. There's only really 3 people who are even remotely close to being in the running, and it is those 3. Like Jonathan Taylor. If they would have, Cup again. With Cup, you could make the argument. It's like, well, look at the team he's playing on. Like Odell Beckham did terrible in Cleveland. He comes there and has 6 TDs in 9 games. You know, you can be like, well, it's definitely possible someone else could have replicated it.
I would love to see Cooper Kupp or Jonathan Taylor win it.
I don't think they're going to give Taylor it because he did not do the last 2 games.
No, it's more so about just wanting to see a change of pace of MVP is almost automatically a QB. I want to see it go back like when Adrian Peterson won in 2012. I want to see like other positions actually have a chance at it.
The person who probably should have won it most recently, who was not a QB, is probably Christian McCaffrey. Because he
his fresh or his rookie year.
I think.
Or are you thinking like?
I think second year.
Second year.
I think 2 years ago, because he had like 1,500 rushing yards and like 1,100 receiving yards, and he had.
Well, it's it's weird because like MVP could be a QB who just had a great season, but in order for any other position to win it, they basically have to break every historical season. Yeah, and it's really dumb.
Well, and I understand the idea. The idea is like who is the most valuable player, like. Generally, it's a team.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, again, if you take, you know, if you do like, if you look at Rodgers, it's like, if you put Jordan Love in there, it's like, what's that team doing? Maybe 7 games, maybe winning 7 games. You know, it's like Brady. Again, you take out Brady, it's like, what's the team doing? Maybe 7 games. Who knows?
Oh, they're having a better record without Brady.
Oh, we'll see next year. We'll see.
Truthfully, though, I feel like, you know, I agree with Seaman with either like Cooper Kupp or not Jonathan Taylor, but I think Deebo Samuel should be like
Deebo definitely should be up there. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's like that is the one thing I said to my dad after watching the games. I'm like, it's pretty obvious Deebo Samuel is a top 10 player in the NFL, and it's weird.
And obviously he's dual threat.
Yeah, it's like it's weird though. They don't like. No one really is like, oh, he does everything for him. It's like he would be the best player on 99% of the league. Like
he's basically doing what Taysom Hill has been doing for years, but he's actually good at it.
I mean, Taysom Hill's not
No,
terrible.
don't say anything good about him.
It's
He
just
sucks.
it's
I
just
hate him.
It's just Deebo Samuel gives you 1,500 receiving yards, 9 TDs, then he gives you 450 rushing yards, 6 TDs, and then he also throws 3 passes and somehow throws 2 touchdowns. You know, it's things like that. It's like, oh, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel is honestly, if there was going to be a player who deserves it the most, it would be Deebo Samuel for me, because I think he is.
It's hard to disagree with.
I think he's the absolute heart and soul of the 49ers. Like, doesn't matter
Well,
that
yeah.
they have Joey Bosa, they have great players, but
they have great players at
Bosa.
all kinds of positions except for one, QB.
Hey, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't lose that game.
No, I'm not saying he lost the game, but he didn't do that much to help him.
He played really good in the first half, and then the whole 49ers team kind of fizzled in the second half.
You know what's even sadder too is I even said it was like 17-7. I go, how the 49ers are playing, Rams have no chance. Literally lost after that. Literally started losing. It's like, well, that's possibly.
I guess so too. I guess 49ers are already looking at trade like ideas for Garoppolo.
I mean,
like different packages. I think he's included on that too, like on figuring it out. What'd you say?
Yeah.
I mean, they were planning on trading him before the offseason even.
Buccaneers. That is the team. If I was Jimmy Garoppolo, it's like, give me the Buccaneers. I'll take Mike Evans. I'll take Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, Cameron Brady, OJ Howard.
Chris Godwin.
Well, he's
that free agent, but we'll see.
You don't think he'll stay? Because I'm pretty sure he's like a number one priority for the Bucs to resign.
Depends on who the QB is. I don't think he really wants to stay if it's Kyle Trask. But if it's Jimmy G, a guy who shows he can win, same thing with Gronk. A lot of people will think Gronk's going to retire, but if they trade for Jimmy G, I think he might. He's familiar with Jimmy G. He knows him. I would lean towards him retiring, but it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't retire and played a year with Jimmy G. If they,
I could see him playing another year.
Yeah, the other team. I mean, the one team that I don't think they would trade. But I mean, is it not weird that Aaron Rodgers is possibly hanging out? And it's like, what's a team absolutely ready-made who just came off a Super Bowl within the last 3 years? It's like Tampa Bay. Like, obviously, the Packers would never trade him to Tampa Bay. But if I was Aaron Rodgers, it's I only want to go to 2 teams or 3 teams: 49ers, the Broncos, or Tampa Bay. Every other team I would not go to.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him go to the 49ers. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, it's a team, you look at a team that could win right away, a team that beat him 3 times, in his playoff career. I don't know. I think if the 49ers were smart, or Jimmy G smart, I mean, he tries to go to one of 2 teams. I mean, who knows? Why couldn't they switch Jimmy G with Rodgers? Why couldn't they just flop him? I mean, I don't really think the Packers want to do that because it's an in-conference rival, but at the same time, though, it's like you still get a pretty good QB, back. More than likely, the 49ers are going to give you whatever you want in draft picks. Same thing with the Bucs. It's like, if depending on who Rodgers would be traded to, they're going to give you what you want for the most part. It just, who do you want to trade him to? And it's pretty much the Broncos. It's about the only team they want to trade him to. But at the same time, it's like, if the draft package or the package for the other teams is better than what the Broncos give, why would you not trade him? That's just the way I look at it.
It's really hard to imagine like Aaron Rodgers winning a Super Bowl again, though.
Yeah, I actually don't see him winning again. But I mean, I feel like he only wants to go to a team that has a chance to win. And it's like, you look at it, his team hasn't been in the Super Bowl in 10 years. The two teams that
I
have been in the Super Bowl, Buccaneers and 49ers over the last 3 years. Both teams,
yeah.
you know.
I truthfully I wouldn't give up much for Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Here's my thing. If you knew he was going to play, let's say 3 years for you, I would. But if it was like a situation where he's like, yeah, I'll come there. It's like, well, how long are you thinking? Like at least 2? At least this year, it's like, I wouldn't then. But if you knew somehow he was going to play longer than even 2 years, yes, I would. Again, it's Aaron Rodgers. You need, especially like someone like Tampa Bay right now. It's like you have no one. You need someone. And it's like 2 years of Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, you go with that over possibly Kyle Trask for the next 2 years. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, Tom Brady, you would give up your future almost just for 1 year of him. Still at this point, as where with Rodgers, you can't really give up much for him because you don't know if he's going to stay, and he's not proven to really make anybody better lately. He's just
and that's what I'm saying. Like you would for sure. Like for me, if I was a GM, I would have to know, barring major injury, are you staying at least 3 years? If he was like, yes, I guarantee it. I promise you, I will stay 3 years. Which again, that's very hard to be able to prove, because 2 years down the line, you'd be like, well, I want to retire, and there's that much. But if there was a way to be like, to pretty much guarantee he's going to be there 3 years, I probably would. Because I mean, you have to figure he's still possibly MVP level right now. If he can continue it for at least 2 years, and let's say that third year he's 80% of what he is now, that's still pretty good. That's 27 touchdowns and, let's say 5 picks. Like that's a pretty good stat line for a year. Is it absolutely great? Not really, but I mean, it's definitely better than a lot of other QBs. So I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Be interesting over the next 2 months, 3 months.
The only positive to me with Tom Brady retiring is that now maybe I can actually pick a team in fantasy,
an actual team,
just on my team in fantasy. I can actually pick a team with maybe not my heart, because I always sacrifice my fantasy team basically every year to take Tom Brady in the 3rd round. So
yeah, but see, that's the thing though, is even though you did that every year, it didn't hurt you that much. I mean, you literally won it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or what, 3 years ago?
3 years ago now.
Yeah, 3 years ago. You literally did that. You picked them 3rd round and you still won. The year after that, playoffs. This year, playoffs. I mean, it's not like it hurt you that much.
No, but now there's not as much stress on it. I can just now draft night is going to be just fun. But
so here's a real question for you now then, though, because obviously Tom's done. Do you go back to in the Vikings, or do you choose a team that you actually this is your team now that you are rooting for? Obviously you were you became kind of a fan of Burrow. Are you going to become a Bengals fan until he's traded or is retired or what? What's your plan with this?
I might have to take it day by day and just, I'll know when the moment's right. I really don't know, honestly. I just, I love Joe Burrow, and man. But I also said,
are you going to be, because obviously you're kind of high up on 49ers, or were until they lost, but since you're in that area, are you going to become a fucking 49ers fan? I hope not.
I mean, I could either basically become a Chargers fan, a Rams fan, or a 49ers fan.
Ooh.
Some pretty good teams.
Not the Rams though. That's just way too bandwagony.
Oh, for sure. But
I like the Chargers though.
Chargers, yeah. I mean, personally,
Herbert's fun to watch.
They are. They're very fun to watch. The one thing is, how everyone was saying Josh Allen's, the actual obstacle in the AFC for Kansas City. It's like, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's going to be number 9 from Cincinnati.
I mean, you could still keep Allen up there as like just one of two big blockades that you're gonna have to go through either the Bills or the Bengals. You're going through one of them.
Or the Chargers, depending on what happens with Broncos this year, depending on what happens with the Chargers. I mean, you look, the AFC has all the great young QBs. The NFC is the old person's division.
Yep.
And now
old people and mediocre QBs. That's the NFC.
Yep. Guys you have no idea about.
Good old Dak.
Yep.
Mediocre at best.
He's good. It's just
he's good. If he can play to consistently, he's a great QB. This year he doesn't. And who the hell knows why?
You could still write this year off to becoming coming back from injury. So you can still write it off for like at moments he still might be a little nervous in the pocket or something. But
I mean, if you watch him, he definitely is.
Because even Tom Brady, when he came back from his knee injury, that the following season he wasn't himself for like a full year. So
yeah,
you never know.
Maybe I know it's hard to say that though at the same time, because at the same point, now granted, his injury wasn't as gruesome as Dak's, but Joey Burrow also went out for the season, and he had a horrible offensive line the year before.
Yeah,
and he comes back, and it's still
Burrow's
not that good,
though.
but yet he's still. It's better, but it's still not that great. Granted, maybe they just picked up, maybe they just had an off few years and they picked it up and are just really kind of in their, or really getting going now. But I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I hope to chalk it up to simple. Just he's still just trying to get back in that rhythm from a gruesome injury. I hope so.
I still don't think you have a very good coach.
Well, yeah,
no, that's why I would. I'm not a huge fan of McCarthy, but I don't think he's horrible. But it would be nice to have Sean Payton somewhere on that team. Maybe not necessarily as head coach, but it'd be nice to have him there. And not I don't know,
an offensive analyst. Yeah, definitely.
Well, considering that they were willing to pick up Ben McAdoo, all right. Thankfully, he's gone from that staff.
No, what I'm telling you is, I don't think he would settle for anything other than head coach.
No, I don't think he would either. It'd be nice to have him. Do I think there's that big of a difference?
Yeah.
Not entirely, but
the one thing
there would be.
Oh yeah,
but absolutely there.
The one thing I would say though about Dak too, though, this year, you look at it, his offensive line was hurt a lot of the year, like overall hurt. So I mean,
well, the thing is, his offensive line is, like you just said, it was hurt a lot of the year, but they're also, I mean, obviously 3-4 years ago, that was the number one offensive line in the league, and it's slowly going down. You lose Travis Frederick, Hall of Fame center.
Yeah.
Zach Martin still, he's not really can't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Tyron Smith is still doing pretty good, but he keeps getting, he can't stop getting hurt. Yeah. Every 3 quarters, it's a neck injury. And it's slowly diminishing. I don't know. I just know I hate them.
The Cowboys?
Yeah, I hate them.
Yeah. It's a very tortured fan base. But I mean, just thank God, just be happy you're not like,
a Vikings
fan, a Lions fan, Jacksonville fan.
What was the thing I saw? I think either yesterday or today, but because obviously Stafford's in the Super Bowl. Halftime show involves Eminem.
Yeah.
It's the closest that Detroit's ever been to a Super Bowl with Stafford and Eminem there.
Which is sad because you look at some of the players they've had. It's like, God, that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't care, I guess, who wins the Super Bowl this year. it'd be cool if Stafford could finally get a ring, and if Joe Burrow could kind of start his run off with just a win right away in the Super Bowl would be really sweet too. So I mean, there's a lot of people that deserve rings, but so I'm really hoping for a good game, honestly.
The only reason why I don't want to see the Rams win is because I think it incentivizes how they've built their team, the Madden type. You know how everyone does it when you start a franchise, where it's like you take everyone you can, you turn off salary cap for 2 years, load your team up, turn it back on later. Like that's my only issue is when you do that, incentivizes every other team, which again, it's in the rules, so other teams should be doing it. But it kills a place like Detroit. It kills a place like Jacksonville, a place unfortunately like Cincinnati. It kills a lot of those places that just struggle to get free agents to start off with. And then it's like, well, why wouldn't I go to Tampa Bay when they have 12 guys who have made a Pro Bowl over their career, and they've picked up 3 guys who are definitely Hall of Fame track. Like, why wouldn't I want to go play with them? It's like, why would I want to go to Detroit? Like that's my only issue is it kind of kills the teams that unfortunately can't compete with those teams, and money and the location. So that's a big issue for, unfortunately, like a place like Detroit. A, who wants to live in Detroit, but B, it's like the franchise kind of struggles when it comes to money and the culture and whatnot. But
it's kind of what happened like in the NBA where people just started building, the super teams, and then now the league is, I don't know, it's not as interesting as it used to be because now there's super teams and then there's like the Timberwolves who have, a couple good players, but nobody's ever going to go there. And, the good players, they're going to leave after their contracts are up.
And I mean, that's, that's the unfortunate thing about when you have a team like the Rams win, is that it incentivizes players who are, it's like, I'll take a 1-year deal to go play with this team. But then it's like everyone's doing that. And it's, I don't know, I think it just kills the parity of the league because realistically, Detroit shouldn't be terrible for so long. Like Detroit should be a fine team at some point. Like same thing with Jacksonville. Jacksonville shouldn't have 1 year where they break through, and then the 6 years before that they're terrible, and the 6 years after that they're terrible. Same thing with Cincinnati. They shouldn't have 10 years of pretty terrible, and let's say this year of great. For whatever reason, they struggle the next 3 years. Like you shouldn't have that. You should have it where teams somewhat can keep their success going. That's just the way, unfortunately it's made to be, but second of all, it's how it should be.
Yeah, it is just kind of crazy that, I don't know, if it starts to go that way though, then it cuts back on like, team rivalries, and there's already barely any left in the league. I can't really think of any that are like super.
I would say honestly, I would say the only 2 that I think are, when you look at, tend to be pretty strong all the time. Like the teams play each other very hard, are the Steelers Ravens. That's the only 2 teams that I really think play each other hard. You look at it, unfortunately, people always bring up like the Giants Cowboys. It's like, well, the Giants have sucked. The Cowboys don't play that well always.
Well, it's like Cowboys versus any team in the NFC East at this point.
Well, exactly. It's like either one team's dominating the other or one team is terrible.
It's a hard rivalry and fought game between, like, in terms of if you ask like the fans, but you ask any other fan of the league that's not a fan of those 2 teams, it's like, well, you have one team that's a pretty decent team versus a shit team, and that's how it's been for a long time.
Yep.
When it was Romo versus Manning, it was pretty fun.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But
no,
both have been out for 5-6 years now. I mean, both have been out 5-6 years now. You had the 1 year of the 1 or 2 years of Wentz and Foles that were, that as much as I hate to say it, were good. But it's,
well, and you look at a natural rivalry from pretty recently, just 8 years, 7-8 years ago, the 49ers Seahawks. And look at both teams now. Seahawks aren't even in the league of the 49ers. which is sad because the Seahawks have won a Super Bowl this decade, or not this decade, but within the last decade. You know, you look at that, it's like, God, it's so weird. Like, the Seahawks don't even feel like a normal franchise. They literally kind of feel like Detroit right now, just with a all-fame QB.
Which is what the Lions were.
Well, exactly. It's, you know, it's like you think about it, you're like, what the? Like, it just, I don't know. The NFL with rivalries, again, I think it's because they get paid so much, where a lot of the guys, again, with the defense not being as, you know, teeth out, take your head off constantly, I think a lot of guys.
Oh yeah, it's softer now.
Yeah, they become, you know, more friendly because it's like, hey, you know, I'm not going to take your head off to deprive you of making 15 million, you know, in the next 2 years, just like I don't expect you to take my knees out on a, you know, on a blocking play. You know, it's, you have that little more understanding where, let's say even 12 years ago, 15 years ago, it was a little more like, hey, you come across the middle, I'm going to take your head off, but if I don't, you're going to blast me in the knees on this block. You know, it's kind of changed in NFL. I know a lot of people are happy because they like offense, but even with like the overtime, what a lot of people are saying is that the league has gone full offense, but it might start to swing back defense, where those hits that they wouldn't allow might start to creep back in, you know?
I hope so a little bit. Like, do you ever just go back and watch like early 2000s, 90s, 80s football games? And
yeah, of course.
There's so much more fun to watch than the games nowadays.
And I mean, the unfortunate thing is just at that time they were just unsafe because they would blast you in the nose. I mean, you know, if you could have that level of hitting without it being reckless and possibly dangerous to both people, I think you should allow it. But the issue is you get too close to the head, it's shoulder on shoulder. They're pretty quick to throw a flag, and now your team, instead of dislodging a critical pass in the fourth quarter, you just gave up 20 yards, you know, and it's a targeting call. Or I don't think they even have targeting quite yet anymore, but it hamstrings your team. So a lot of players, you know, I feel kind of ease up on it because they know it's like, hey, if I make a mistake here, we might lose our game, and it might be my fault because I tried to take the QB's head off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There just has to be some type of happy medium there that they could achieve, but
I feel like there might be like a budding rivalry between Allen and Mahomes and the Chiefs and Bills, though.
Yep.
I feel like that could be something.
I do think that they have a pretty good chance, kind of similar to the Colts and New England. But the only issue, though, is the reason why that was such a rivalry is because they played each other 2001, 2002, 2003, and then 2004 is when they got the new teams and they realigned all the divisions. So they kind of had those 3 years to build into it, playing each other. And then when they got rid of it, it's, you know, obviously they only played each other in the playoffs essentially. So it amped up the level of it. But I don't know. I mean, it's just you have to make it where it was like the 70s and 80s, where you knew it, you know, certain teams disliked each other and they would fight. And I mean, obviously no one wants to see a full up brawl, but you want to see it a little more testy than some of the games that you see.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
Well, you just want to see a little bit more like passion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and like,
mm-hmm.
And you want to see like, you don't always want to see a smile and like a hug after the game or anything. You want to see like, you know, possibly some shoving, you know, people pissed off. Like you want to see a little bit of that.
You want to see the actual emotions. A lot of time, you know, I hate to say it, you see where it's like the quarterback, you know, quarterbacks will come out, they'll shake hands, but you know damn well the one who, you know, like Josh Allen, he's gonna be, you know, hey, what can he do? It's a great game. They got the coin toss. There's something we should do. But realistically, you want to see him run off, not shake anyone's hand and be like, that's bullshit. Like, we should have gotten that ball because there was no chance they would have stopped us. You know, you want to see him say that. Is he going to say that? Absolutely not. But you want to see him say it. You know,
you just want to see a little bit more. I don't know,
Motion,
like you know,
anger.
like not even like 10 years ago and stuff when like Richard Sherman and like the Seahawks were chirping everybody, and you know that interview after they beat the 49ers and you know shit like that where he got in Tom Brady's face, and
you want to
like
see more passion.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to see where guys don't use kid gloves. That's the thing. I feel like a lot of guys, regardless of who they are, the team they're playing, they kid glove everything. You know, it's like, well, that's a great team over there. It's like, no, you can be frank. Like, that team sucks. We're gonna kick them in the mouth come Saturday, and we're gonna go home. We're gonna go home and we're gonna be in the Super Bowl. Like, you want to see that. No one's gonna do it because that's just how it works. But you know, it's one of those things that it's missing.
Yeah, like you want to see like the stuff like last year in the Super Bowl where you know Antoine Winfield Jr.'s doing the peace sign in Tyreek's face, and so you want to see that stuff where like where it gets people's blood boiling.
Yep. Yeah,
that's the best stuff.
It is. It is. I mean, it's funny. I don't know what I was doing. What was I doing? It was either today or last night. But I was looking through like the previous champions and just kind of the history of the Super Bowl. And I started looking at it and it's like, Jesus, like 8 or 9 teams have dominated to get to the Super Bowl like crazy amount of times. But you look at it, it's like all those teams had rivalries. You know, the 70s, it's like Cowboys had rivalries with the Colts, the Dolphins, Steelers, the 49ers. You look at it, it's like, wow, the Steelers had rivalries with the Broncos, the Colts themselves, the Dolphins, the Raiders. You know, you look at that, it's like, wow, they had major rivalries. The 80s, again, it's like 49ers had it with the Giants, they had it with Washington. Same thing in the AFC, again, they didn't win a lot. You look at it, it's like every AFC team had a rivalry. You know,
shit, even in the 90s, Cowboys and Bills.
Oh yeah, Cowboys
4 years straight.
Cowboys, 49ers, Bills. You know, you look at it and it's like why is that not here currently? There is no real rivalry, and it might be because if you really look at the last like 20 years, there's been a lot of parity other than when Tom Brady's in the league. Like you put in New England, and then every other team generally is like a new team or a team that's been there like once or twice. But you take out Tom Brady, it's a lot of like newer teams facing each other. So I just don't think you build that historic rivalry. And unfortunately, it sucks because I feel like the game is much better when two teams hate each other because they face each other 4 times in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl, you know, or they face each other 2 times to get to the Super Bowl, but 4 times out of the last 5 years. I think it builds the league up, but
hopefully we're kind of looking at that, you know, obviously with the Chiefs and the Bills, and then, you know, maybe the Rams and the 49ers, and I don't know, maybe we start to see a little bit more, maybe the Bengals, and I don't know, you know, maybe the Ravens finally kind of get going again. Start getting some of those teams and start putting them against each other a lot more, and hopefully we can get some good storylines. And
but who knows? I mean, it just going forward with, unfortunately, with Tom being gone, I think it makes a lot different league wise, because now I feel like you take out a team. Unfortunately, in Tampa Bay, as of right now, you kind of take out a team, and it's like, who could take their spot as like a top contender? And it's like you start looking at, it's like, well, who could be a contender possibly next year if the Buccaneers unfortunately don't get someone who kind of matches Tom Brady. It's like, I don't know. That's just something I kind of was thinking about today, but
it's gonna be interesting to see, because it's kind of like when, it's like taking Michael Jordan out of the NBA and then, expecting like all the same like rivalries and the same kind of outcomes to kind of keep happening. But the league has been kind of run by Tom Brady for the last 20 years.
Yep.
Even with Peyton Manning and Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers and all these guys there, Tom still, his legacy and stuff overshadows all of them now.
Oh, it's not even close.
It's not even close.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you look at it, it's like his legacy outshadows all of them combined, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Like the only one who I really think is able to kind of unfortunately stand out from all of them is Peyton Manning again, but I think it's because they had such a great rivalry, and he did beat Tom Brady a few times to get to the AFC title game, to get to the Super Bowl, to win a Super Bowl. So I think he has a little bit better claim to, he has the ability to kind of stand out apart from Tom. But I don't, unfortunately, like you think about the 2000s until now, it's like you kind of think Tom, you like, especially quarterback wise, the first person I see is Tom Brady firing a fucking pass in Foxborough in his January to get them to the Super Bowl. That's what you think.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Tom had all the rivalries left in the league, as like when he had a rivalry with Peyton Manning going, he had a rivalry with Eli Manning and the Giants, and then he had rivalries with like the Eagles, and like he was really the only one left that had like rivalries still going. Otherwise, everybody else is just kind of. I can't think of anybody who Aaron Rodgers really has a rivalry with. I mean, the Vikings, but that's just NFC North. That's only for people around like that are in that division.
I mean, he
Otherwise,
obviously
nobody
has
else really cares.
Very one-sided rivalry with the 49ers.
Yeah.
One-sided being all 49ers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a rivalry though.
No.
I don't know. They're just, even when, like you say, Packers, Vikings, it's really tough when a team isn't that good. It's just one of those things, unfortunately. Like, it's really hard to be like, wow, this game's great, or that's a great rivalry, when it's like, well, that team's not doing anything. Like, that team has
the Vikings. If the Vikings had like a franchise quarterback, if they had somebody like Aaron Rodgers, then that would be probably a really like good rivalry. But the Vikings are just the Vikings, and
well, I mean, I would even say, like, look at Detroit, even like Detroit and Green Bay. Detroit beat them both times this year, but you don't think of it as a good rivalry. Like, going into next year, you wouldn't be like, oh my god, I can't wait for that Detroit Packers game. You wouldn't, just because you don't assume Detroit's going to do anything. Like, they might beat them, but you wouldn't assume that Detroit's going to do anything next year.
Yeah. Like, not like when you assume, like, even it doesn't matter who's in Pittsburgh or Baltimore, you always know the game's going to be chippy and there's going to be, some huge plays made and people possibly getting hurt. And I think that probably has a lot to do with their head coaches, though, too, more than the players.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the style. I mean, obviously Pittsburgh's known as it's a defense and run game type location, and the Ravens are also a defense orientated, franchise. You look at most of their Hall of Fame guys, or soon to be Hall of Fame guys, and their defense. Same thing with the Steelers. I mean, they'll have offensive guys, but what's their bread and butter? It's defense. I don't know. I mean, I think it has to do with a lot of the organization culture, and then you look and it's like you look at the head coaches, but then you kind of just look at everything else, and it's like you can kind of figure out who would be a rivalry. Like the Rams and 49ers, while they both have offensive coaches, their defenses are awesome. And so you think about it, it's like they just have nasty ass defenses where it's like they're gonna punch the other offense in the mouth, and if they're punching each other in the mouth, damn well it's probably gonna be pretty chippy.
Yeah, honestly, that is the problem. Basically, in a nutshell with the league is because, I mean, you're just saying that the 49ers and Rams could because they have good defenses, and that's what's kind of fallen out from the league is it's all about offense. So if everyone had a great defense, the league would be a lot more rivalry because that's where it all comes from, is from defense. It doesn't come like from offenses really.
No, because I mean, offense is, I hate to say it, for the most part, is a finesse part of the game. I mean, it's a lot
it's
more
like the NBA. It's like, how smooth can you be on offense, and how can you like score easily?
Yeah, and with like obviously with the NBA, it's like, can you stick to your guy? Can you get in his face when he's going to pull up from 30? Can you protect the rim? It's like if you can do all those, you tend to have a pretty good team. You know, like that's just the way I look at it. I mean, I think obviously if they didn't hamstring the defense so much, I think you would see teams become a lot more chippy and a little more aggressive, especially on both sides of the ball. But I think you would see rivalries explode, and I actually think you would see some of the lower end teams who might not be as talented possibly become really good teams, because again, you know, the NFL is unfortunately based a little bit on intimidation and fear. If you don't fear the other team's defense, you're going to go up and down on them all day. But if you're afraid, like, oh, they have a couple guys who can take our head off, you know, coming down the middle, or we're afraid that their fucking D tackle is going to hammer our QB and break his shoulder blade, you know. If you don't have that fear, you act like it. Where if you have that fear, you're a little more apprehensive, you're a little more chippy because you're on edge, you know.
Yeah. Going back to what Tom I was saying about earlier, that like he really kind of beats everybody in the sense that they kind of beat like time itself as well, because there's no, like, it finally got to the point where like all quarterbacks before him, it was like every year they were just waiting until he fell off, and then now Tom's gotten to the point where nobody thought he couldn't do it anymore. And I think that might have even been a reason why he's not all in anymore, because I think nobody's doubting him anymore. So now he's just kind of like, well, there's nothing else to play for, because he's basically beat everybody and proven everybody wrong, and there's nobody left to prove.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing is, even the people 2 or 3 years ago were like, you should retire. Now, all today, everyone's like, well, you could still do it if you wanted to. You could come back tomorrow and play 2 more years. Like everyone, even the people who generally dislike him, all are just like, well, you know, if he wanted to keep playing, he could. Like, there's nothing we could do. Like, he would have a chance to, and he'd probably be pretty good, you know.
Yeah, this is where no other quarterback ever gotten to that point. Because even with, like, you know, Aaron Rodgers right now, there's still like, you know, if someone wants to go all in for him, is he even going to be that productive for that long? Is he even worth it? You know, Ben Roethlisberger was garbage this year. You know, like he could barely do anything anymore, unfortunately. And, you know, just, you know, Drew Brees his last year, not good at all. Eli Manning was completely a shell of himself towards the end.
I mean, he was a shell of himself all but 2 years, but yes, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, Eli Manning, I'm trying to think of like even who he'd be like relatable to, but it was just kind of like whenever the cards would be super stacked against him, he'd always win. But like as soon as he was a favorite to win, the whole Giants team would just fold.
Yep. Oh, I mean, I hate to say it, he's the one quarterback who will win, who have had 2 Super Bowl wins, beat the MVP, beat an historic team, like all-time great team, but should not be in the Hall of Fame. And again, he was a very, he's just a very average, mediocre quarterback for 90% of his career, other than when it came down to his team somehow got a wild card playoff, and they somehow managed to get to the damn Super Bowl, and they happened to face Tom Brady. Like, if you look at his career, he's just one of those guys where it's like, oh, you led the league 3 times in interceptions. You never led the league in any statistical category. You're top 10 and I think he's top 10 or top 15 in most categories for like QB, but it's like you never were in the MVP discussion from what I remember. It's like you just weren't. He didn't have a spectacular career. He had a career where it's like he was good, but there's a difference between like Hall of Fame good.
He would have basically been. I mean, he could have been like Tim Bradshaw if the Giants just had a better like organization and like kept the team around them good.
Yep. Because I mean, realistically,
because Terry Bradshaw, his numbers are
bad.
Nothing
bad,
that special.
No, even bad compared to the people in the 70s.
Yeah, because he has the same amount of touchdowns as interceptions.
Yep. And it's weird because even like I asked my dad too. I'm like, I go, how good was Terry Bradshaw? And he's like, he's a good QB. I said, but is he like, how would you describe it? And he goes, man, you would have to have watched him play. He goes, but there were other QBs better than him. I'm like, oh, really? Sure. And he goes, let me tell you, he goes, especially in the 70s, he goes, better players, better QBs than him. He just had the right team with the right coach at the right time. He goes, in today's game, he goes, Terry Bradshaw would be like Jay Cutler, guy who has a fucking cannon of an arm, but man probably didn't make the right decision most of the time. But the thing with Jay Cutler is his team around him was never that great, where it's like Terry Bradshaw had arguably among the best teams of all time around him. So it's like, you have a little more leeway with you have 4 Hall of Famers on defense and 4 on offense, and your backups are, great players or very good players. So it becomes a little bit easier to fuck around and not worry about a mistake. But I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to think about. There's really no like choice between the guys of the 70s and today. Like the QB today is way better. And Tom Brady's the best.
Not even close.
Yeah. Tom Brady's the best. I mean, the only guy who there's only about 2 or 3 guys who I would take from before 1990 or even 2000, realistically, and it's like Dan Marino, John Elway, like Warren
Joe
Moon,
Montana.
Yeah, Joe Montana, like Warren Moon. I mean, there's a few guys, but for the most part, it's like I'm gonna take Tom Brady. I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers probably take Drew Brees, Peyton Manning. It's like there's not many guys I've taken before that, or and so it's just wild to me that you think about it. It's like man, QBs are much better now, but there's one who's head and shoulders above all the other good ones, and unfortunately he retired today.
Well, even with like Troy Aikman for Z Boys Cowboys, I mean, without the team around him, I'm not sure he gets a whole lot done though, because his stats were never great. I don't even know if he ever threw over 20 touchdowns in a year. He was always like
it's just because he had a top 3, top 5 for sure, not by Isaac standards, but top 5 all-time running back. Is it safe to say maybe a top 10 all-time receiver? Top 20?
No, he's top 5 for sure.
Top 5? Okay. Oh, yeah. Are you sure? Do you want to make an argument for it? That he shouldn't be below that?
Oh no, it's Michael Irvin. Of course, I'm not make argument.
Do you have a top 5?
He makes the argument that Michael
running
Irvin's
back
better
and
than
receiver.
Yeah,
you don't really need to be able to do too much at QB. All you gotta do is throw it in their general direction for Irvin, and he's gonna come down for it.
Here's what I can tell you. I've came around a little bit more to the Emmitt Smith thing.
To facts, yeah. It's
not even that. Just like I kept trying to like find I spent probably a good 2 days looking to find if I could figure out someone who you could realistically be like, well, put him on the same team. And I was like, God, it's tough. Just tough. I mean, you look at it, it's like, with the numbers he put up, I mean, he was the MVP. And even in an era when running backs tended to not win MVPs, you think about it, it's like, it's hard, you got to give him the props. Obviously, I still think he benefited a lot from the system, but
absolutely.
I also think he helped the system a hell of a lot too. I mean, it's like Joe Montana. Joe Montana definitely benefited from being in the West Coast offense, but damn, the West Coast offense benefited from having Joe Montana. So, but it's just one of those things where, like you agree, or like you were saying, you can just throw the ball up to one of those two, or Alan Harper, or you throw it up to anyone who can somewhat catch it. You'll probably be fine on a team like.
Well, and that was goes along with the whole thing. I don't know if it was Aikman that said it or whoever said it when the Cowboys played the 49ers, talking about when CD had, one catch for how many yards in the game. Again, I don't remember who said it, but Michael Irvin's out there. He's got 10 catches by halftime.
It was
because it was Aikman then, yeah. Because that's what you had to do. Just toss it in his direction. He's coming down with it.
Well, yeah,
he's gonna come down with it over and over and over.
Yeah, because like what Troy had said, he goes, let me tell you, he goes, if that was my 88 out there, he goes, he would have had about 15 targets ready, probably 10 catches, 110, maybe a touchdown or two. He's like, obviously you don't have 22 back there. He goes, but you got 21 because you got to figure it out.
You've got 21 and you've got 20.
Yeah, he's like, you got to figure it out. And so, I mean, you think about it, it's like, it's very true though.
It is. You had a receiver who throw in the air. He's going to come down with it. Or if not, then let's give it to 22. He'll get the first down. No issues. Let's just go back and forth. And Zeke is not who he used to be. I mean, that's a straight fact.
They have to trade him and cut him.
I like Zeke, but Pollard is better in every way right now.
Yep.
Pollard can catch. Pollard is more explosive off the run. I mean, at this point, it should be Zeke. This is the year right now. This coming year, this is it. I give you a few games. You don't show me anything special. Welcome to trade deadline. At this point,
I would do it beforehand. I just think you have to. I mean, unfortunately,
no, I do too. It's a bummer, but
and here's the thing: the only reason why I really believe that is this year should have been what you think next year should be.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's like, hey, Zeke, get in the best shape you can,
which he did. That was the thing too.
Yeah, it's like Zeke, this is the moment where you can carry the team when Dak is obviously not playing that well. It's like he's coming back from an injury. It's like, this is the opportunity for you to prove that you were worth the, what was it, 54 million or something
like that. Well, the thing was too, when the first few games of the season, he looked good.
Yeah.
He was making some good runs. He wasn't getting super huge amount of yardage each run, but he was moving differently. He was exploding off the start. I mean, he was looking differently a little bit those first 1 or 2 or 3 games. And then also, nope, right back into that old way of just, fuck it. Put your head down, try to go up the middle. Didn't work. There's half a yard. Back to it. And then a few plays later, you give to Pollard, who, there's 8, 9, 10 yard play over and over and over. But yet you give him the ball 4 times and then go back to Zeke, who is getting half yard runs every single time. It's like, what is this now? I understand that you paid him a lot of money, so you need to use him. But at the same point, please, I want to see you guys do good. That's all I want.
Yeah. I mean,
it's consistency.
I would get rid of him, but that's just me. I think, unfortunately, you're past the point where unless he's going to run for 1,200 yards next year and 12 touchdowns and maybe have 55 catches and 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, it's like whatever he's going to do for you isn't good enough. Not for what you're paying him. Get rid of him. Trade him to another team. I mean, trade him to a team that may not necessarily need him, but they can put him in like that Pollard role. where he's not carrying the ball 25 times, he's carrying it 15, and he possibly can, get 1,000 for the year and possibly move on to a chance to a different team, like a team that's free agency or whatnot. It's like you could trade him and not kill his career. It just, if you hold on to him, keep trying to do what you're doing, it's like you're going to kill his career and no team's going to want him. Where now it's like a team looking at it could be like, well, their offensive line kind of struggled, their offensive scheme wasn't that great, maybe it's just that, maybe if we bring him in, we can resurrect this guy's career and get him to Pro Bowl level. There's a lot of coaches who feel that way, but a lot of different players.
Well, before we wrap things up on this episode, what is your guys' favorite Tom Brady moment, excluding the Falcons comeback?
Oh, God, it's almost like you knew I was going to say that. For me, it would be that look right after Malcolm Butler's pick, where it cuts to Tom and he's looking up at the screen. And he has that like primal ass like scream face. It'd be either that or not. It's for the Falcon Super Bowl when that kid asked him like who his hero was.
His dad.
Oh yeah.
Those two moments would be the two moments that
it's a real bummer that you just told that one because I was about to say it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Great
like
moment.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just especially how he does it. He's like, my dad, and then he like pauses, and you can tell like he wants to elaborate, but won't because it's like pretty emotional. Like that. That is one of those moments where it's like, God damn, that guy's cool.
Right. God damn, he's cool. What do you got, Z-Boy?
I just took it.
He just took it. I was priming that one up, and wow, snagged.
My moment personally, I guess for me would be actually. Well, now it's lucky that I was able to actually go to a game this past year to go see him, because otherwise he was retired now. So that would have been very sad to not be able to ever see Tom Brady play. So now that moment is by far my favorite, because to be able to see him on the field is something that I'll cherish forever, honestly, because it was incredible.
Yeah, that's the one thing I should have definitely tried to see him when he played the Vikings like 2 or 3 years ago. Should have definitely tried to do it. I wanted to this year, just never did. And it's like, well, possibly have next year. No chance for next year, but
yeah, I was already like, before the announcements came out and stuff, I was like, we need to try to make sure to get to another game this year, because I don't know how many years he's got left, and then retired. And I was like, oh well, at least I got to go to one. Pretty sad, but
you just have to get tickets to this Hall of Fame ceremony now.
Yeah, I guess that's next, or we'll just get them on here.
Behind the front desk at Canton.
Okay. Next, that's the next. Yeah,
I mean, we'll all be there. We'll be hosting it.
Oh.
Okay, I'm in on that. That'd be so cool.
No,
it's just like, getting it. Go ahead, Ding.
Nope, no, I'll let you go.
I really got nothing. So I was gonna say something, and then wasn't anything good.
Well, I'm gonna just say it'd be just going, but if they're like, do you guys want to like MC this bad boy? It's like,
do you want to give him the gold jacket?
Yeah,
do you want to put it on him? Reno, do you want to put it on him?
Like, where does the bus go? Which room? Like, do I get to choose who I'm by?
Where do you want the bus? Yeah, you can just put that. You can put that at my house.
I think they get one. I think they get one for their house. I think Hall of Famers get. I think they get. I know they get a ring. They get the jacket, but I'm pretty sure they get like a duplicate bust. But obviously, the main one is in Canton.
I'm sure they can have the option to get a bust made, or if not, and they really want it, they can just ask whoever made it before to make another one.
Well,
I don't think the money would be an issue.
I want to say they make duplicates because I think there are teams that actually have teams get a replica bust
like to put at their facility.
for their facility. I want to say it. Maybe I'm incorrect on that one, but I want to say that is something that teams have done. But
yeah.
All right. Well,
do you think they waived the 5-year rule for Tom?
no.
Make him wait the 5 years. It's got to stay the same.
I mean, yeah, I feel bad for whoever he goes in with, though.
Question is, is it unanimous?
Oh, you know what they're gonna do? Tom Brady. Okay, next. Literally, it's how it will do. That's what they did for Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning said Peyton Manning, and they didn't even vote on it. They literally said the same.
No.
They looked around. It's like, okay, next.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ed Reed. They literally Ed Reed started reading off his thing, off his career accomplishments. By then they looked around. It's like, okay, it's like perfect. It's like, well, that's all you need to know. It's with Tom Brady. It's like, so Tom Brady. It's like perfect. Awesome. It's like, great. I'm glad. Is that unanimous? Just want to clarify. It's like, oh, unanimous. Perfect. Though they're probably.
I'm sure they won't even say his name. It'd be like number 12.
Well, they'll just know that he's eligible that year, so they'll just
they're
probably already.
All right, the list includes this person, this person, this person. Tom Brady's just first name on the list. They just don't even need to say his name. They know he's going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, I feel bad for whoever goes in with him. I mean, he's gonna be overshadowed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or he's gonna overshadow everyone, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anything else, boys?
Nothing, man.
Anything to button up, Z-Boy?
Nope.
Right.
Nope. I think we're good. We're good.
Who do we got for Super Bowl? What are we thinking right now? Right now, it's a little early. Who are we thinking?
Give me Joe.
I was gonna say Bengals as well.
I was gonna agree.
I'm okay with either one winning, but
I'm not gonna be butthurt.
Rams look good, but Bengals are just.
Yeah, I don't have.
They had a slow start, but once they got it going again, there was no stopping them.
Yep. Okay. Well, we're all in agreement.
Well,
let's see next week if we are.
Well, not next week.
Well, yeah, next week. It's no, but next week though is the week before. It'll be Super Bowl week.
Yeah, but we won't. But it can't be. We'll know next week.
No, that's what I mean. We'll know if we're all still on the same page for Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how I meant.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, that next week we'll try to we'll get off sports for a week.
Probably would be good.
And then we'll probably get back on sports again. But yeah, the NFL playoffs are 3 straight weeks, so we'll try to get off it for the next following week. But thank you for watching, and thanks, Tom.
Yep. Thank you, Tom Brady.
Thanks, Timmy.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Deuces.